Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name's Russ Osborne and this is your Independent England Football Supporters Podcast. How are you? I hope you're feeling well. Friday, here we are. England finally have a game. Our first game of 2025. The qualifications for Euro 2026, well, they finally begin today. And it is, of course, the first game in charge for Thomas Tuchel. Don't know if you can hear all this noise around me. There's a lot of construction work, as always, going on in central London as I'm waiting to meet a few people for a beer. Already on my way here, I've come across a few Albanian fans. They're all wearing these felt hats. I've no idea how to pronounce them, I have to be honest, but it's like a white felt hat. Kelsey hats, Qeleshe. They're quite distinctive. You'll no doubt have seen them by now on the telly, but there's plenty of Albanians knocking around. So since the last episode, some interesting things have happened, or one interesting thing, I guess, of note for England fans. The England Supporters Travel Club announced that there will be a percentage of collection-only tickets. This is their way of trying to clamp down on what they call cap cheats or ticket touts, which may be a little bit harsh on those, but it is what it is, if that's how they want to term that. And it's caused quite a lot of talk between England fans. I personally think it's no bad thing. If you've got nothing to hide, and you are buying your ticket for yourself to use to further your cause, to go to tournaments further down the line, then fair play. We have to collect tickets on away days, but I do get that some people may cut it fine when coming from a fair distance to home games at Wembley. A lot of people say, obviously, more games should be played around the country, or games should be played on weekends. Yeah, of course, I totally agree. But that's pretty much out of the England Supporters Travel Club's powers, really. It's all to do with the FA. It's all to do with like how UEFA schedule matches, all that sort of thing. And you've got to factor in the Premier League and the Football League as well, how they would take to it. So it's not as straightforward as it may seem. And it's as well, it's not going to be a huge amount of people having to collect tickets. That's probably the main thing. It's probably less than 1% of the stadium capacity, because the travel club, they don't want to be making people collect tickets all the time. It's an extra job for them. It's an extra chore for them. An extra thing they have to man. Hopefully it's just a small deterrent, and it sorts itself out in the near future. One thing today, on the day that I'm speaking, Friday, Heathrow Airport has closed. It was due to I think it was like a power substation in and around the Heathrow area, which basically knocked out all the power to the airport and the surrounding area. It's caused a massive problem, not just in Heathrow, but the knock-on around the world is just colossal, and I've no doubt it will have affected England fans flying in for the game. And believe you me, there are a lot of England fans who fly in to watch England on match day. Hopefully they haven't been affected too much, but as well, I mean, despite the fact that I have seen a fair few Albanians around, they may well be expats living over here, but I do wonder if there'll be Albanian fans who've been affected by the chaos at Heathrow Airport today. Right, I'm going to go and find a beer now before I head on to Wembley.
Wembley, are you ready? Tonight, under the arch, we take our first step on the road to FIFA World Cup 2026. And what better way to begin than by welcoming our new manager, Thomas Tuchel, right here at home. England, this is it. Our journey starts now. The road to 2026 starts here.
So national anthem's done. There's a welcome to the home of football Thomas banner unveiled as the players lined up and the national anthems were sung. We are standing just to the right of the Albanian section, and there's quite a large contingent of Albanians here. They had a large surfer flag that came out as their anthem was played. There's a lot of red and black next to us here. Here's the England 11. So debuts for Dan Burn and Miles Lewis-Skelly. A positive reaction to Marcus Rashford. We are 15 minutes in, and I think Pickford has had one touch of the ball. But I imagine if they're doing stats on the telly for possession, we must be up 95%. It's been all England so far. Just passing it around. He's quick passing as well. Wow. 20 minutes. I'll tell you what, here's a stat. Last player to score at England was Taylor Harwood-Bellis, who scored on his debut. The next one was Miles Lewis-Skelly to score on his debut. I have to be honest, I didn't think he was ready. How wrong can you be? Dan Burn showing his presence there. From corners, he's the target man, clearly.
Time in this FIFA World Cup European qualifier, and going into the break, the score is England 1, Albania 0.
I've got a feeling, I think Thomas Tuchel stood that whole half just watching from his the box that he's allowed to stand in. Just stood watching everything. Fairly solid and well-deserved lead at half-time. Should have been 2, in all fairness, but that Albania goal line clearance from their keeper and the defender should have been 2, but it is 1-0.
So 2-0 it ended, and we top Group K after the first match day. Now, I mentioned about Miles Lewis-Skelly and Taylor Harwood-Bellis, both scoring on their debuts. I want to mention Alfie Wilson, who on Twitter also mentioned that Curtis Jones did the same away in Greece. In doing so, we had 3 consecutive debut goals. I think he was right when he said, have we ever had that before? Quite possibly not. Unfortunately, there won't be another, as I'm once again off shortly to Wembley for Latvia. I don't think there are no more potential debutants in the squad for the Latvia game, are there? Miles Lewis-Skelly, though, he had a great game. Rightly awarded man of the match. His goal meant that he became the youngest ever England debutant goal scorer. He took the title from Marcus Rashford by 33 days, apparently. Rashford scoring on his debut back in 2016 against Australia in Sunderland, you may remember. Of course, Harry Kane got the second with a second-half goal, wonderfully taking the ball down in the box and slotting home, the sort of thing that we know Harry Kane does, and does so well. But he wasn't really marked too well, was he? But that goal means he's now scored under 4 England managers. Hodgson, Southgate, Carsley, and now Thomas Tuchel. It's just a shame that he didn't score under Sam Allardyce. That would have been quite the record. But as for Thomas Tuchel, he joins a select group of managers who won their first England game. And looking back on it, I know the first half there was a lot of possession, especially early in the game. We didn't really do a huge amount with it as the game went on, and especially the second half, which kind of petered out quite a bit and became a little bit disjointed. But it did seem that Tuchel wanted the likes of Walker and Lewis-Skelly to push up as wing-backs. And on the occasions that we did lose the ball, it seemed like they were quick to get it back. I was listening to 5 Live on Saturday. They were saying that Liverpool is sort of comparing them to Liverpool at the moment in the Premier League. They don't win all their games 4 or 5-0. They'll have routine, mediocre 2-0 wins. It's going to take time for Tuchel to get everything as he wants it. It was a surprise to me that Mark Gay didn't start. He did go with Konsa and Dan Burn. Dan Burn had one of those headers of his that we'd seen in the League Cup a week before, but I've got to be honest, I thought he was a little bit shaky at times. Konsa was almost faultless, but in honesty, he didn't really have a great deal to do, much like Jordan Pickford. I do feel that Phil Foden, though, is running out of opportunities at the moment. And I'd be surprised if we see him again so soon. I mean, he may play against Latvia, but maybe in the next squad, who knows? He just isn't turning it on for me, I've got to be honest. But my overall concern remains that this group, Group K, the teams within it, and with the greatest respect to them and to Senegal and Wales, who we've got friendlies lined up against, that none of them really test us. Or they don't seem to be teams that are going to really test us. We might get a friendly or two early next year. And this is me presuming we make the World Cup finals. And if we do get a couple of friendly teams early next year, they need to be of high calibre, high ranking, so we can really show what we're capable of. Obviously, if we do balls this group up, then ignore what I've just said. But in Thomas Tuchel's press conference last week, he said he wanted to play with Premier League style physicality and aggression. That's what he said he wanted to do. Did we do it? Not massively, I'd say. Maybe at times it was there, but it certainly wasn't throughout. A couple of things I did remember from Friday. The national anthem seemed to be all over the place. I'd imagine that Wembley, they've just got the one national anthem track that they use. They press play when it's needed. But this time it just seemed to be a little bit slow and all out of time with the fans who were singing it. And as well, just prior to the game, it may have been just before the teams came out when they had all the pyrotechnics on the pitch. They played this track out over the speakers. it was a drum and bass track by a duo, Doctor and Skepsis. Yeah, I know. But they'd done a track earlier in the year called Arctic. But this time, they've changed the lyrics to Thomas Tuchel's Army. God, it's horrific. I do wonder if it's me that is so out of touch at times, or maybe it's the people at Wembley who choose the entertainment who are a little out of touch with their paying punters. Actually, just going back to the national anthem, apparently Thomas Tuchel didn't sing it. Would you believe? So I'm recording this. I'm off to Wembley very soon for the Latvia game. I saw that on Sunday Anthony Gordon has withdrawn because of a hip injury. I think he came on for, I think it was 20 minutes against Albania. Now Latvia, whilst we were beating Albania, they beat Andorra 1-0 in Andorra. Now let's just sidestep once again. Over the weekend, a few stories came out that our game against Andorra in June could be played once again in Barcelona, just as it was in 2007 and 2008, rather than their Estadi Nacional, which is where we played them in 2021. You remember when they had a little fire before the day before the game? Why is this? Well, I do know that Andorra are building a new stadium, and I had it on good advice that they were looking to host England for it in June. Now, I can only assume they've hit some snagging, is what they call it, and it's not going to be ready. Although that then asks the question, why in 2 and a bit months can they not use the ground, the Estadi Nacional, once again, that they played Latvia in? I don't know. I guess we will find out soon. But on the plus side, if it is to be Barcelona, then there will be, clearly, more tickets available. Although it will be a pain for those who had booked to go to Toulouse, myself included. But it is what it is. It's not the first hurdle England fans have had to overcome in recent times. We always find a way. And here we are. We find ourselves back at Wembley. Tonight it's Latvia. We've got a lineup. I think there's 4 changes to the team that started against Albania. Let me quickly run through it. Pickford James is one of the changes. Declan Rice, Cedric Konsa. Mark Gay comes in. Harry Kane is there. Jude Bellingham. Marcus Rashford retains his place. Morgan Rogers starts. Jared Bowen starts. And Miles Lewis-Skelly keeps his place. So yeah, it's I'm pretty sure that's 4 changes. Already seen a few Latvians around. They haven't got as big a section as the Albanians had the other night, but there are a few there. But I think it's a good opportunity to try a few new things. Harry Kane, I don't know, can he add to his 70 goals? We're going to find out. I promised a friend of mine, Mark, that I'd give him a mention because he told me earlier that today, on the day of the game, what are we, the 24th, I think? 24th of March. 40 years ago today, there was a game played here. It was actually the League Cup, or the Milk Cup. Norwich's finest day, would you believe? Norwich beat Sunderland by 1-0. And I said to him, I'll only mention it if I can find an England connection. And the fact that it's being played at Wembley, I thought was a little bit too tenuous, considering it was the old ground. But the England connection was that Chris Woods played in goal for Norwich that day, who went on to make however many
caps as he fought out the goalkeeping place of Peter Shilton at the time. So yeah, that one's for you, Mark.
Wembley Stadium, please welcome to the pitch tonight's teams. Latvia and
Thomas Tuchel properly animated with the fourth assistant down in his technical area, really throwing his hands around, and he's done it a few times. There we go. This has gone to a potential VAR. I think it was Bowen who was brought down. It might have been Bowen or Rogers. But it's not the first penalty. There was one earlier about 10 minutes ago where Marcus Rashford should have had a penalty by what it looked like. And as you can hear, it's not been given. Come on. What a free kick. What a free kick. Keeper was rooted to the spot. He's gone right round the wall. We had a great view from where we're standing. 1-0. It's taken about 38 minutes. I'll tell you, every angle they're showing that on the screen, it just gets better and better every time. Superb. 1-0 England. So it's half time, 1-0. It's been a little hard work at times. I think basing on this half and comparing it against Albania, Latvia probably had more opportunities and more of the ball than Albania did. I guess it's we need to play these sort of teams, these sort of gnarly teams that are just going to put as many players behind the ball. They call it a low block. And we just need to break them down. And it's just frustrating to watch at times. But Rashford has had a lot of the ball. You want to see him take on some players, and he has been doing that. He's been doubled up on though at times. Bowen, you'd like to see a little bit more of him doing that, but just isn't at the moment. They're just showing the highlights on the screen at the moment. The Latvian keeper, he's had a couple of saves. I guess it should be more than the 1-0 that it actually is. I think I mentioned earlier, Thomas Tuchel was throwing his arms around on the touchline, getting frustrated. Obviously things weren't going how he wanted them to. Just got to hope that we can push on in the second half and get a few more. Let's see. We are, 10 minutes into the second half. We may have a new manager, but the same paper planes are just raining down from, there's one there, just raining down from the top tier. I heard I think it was John Murray on the BBC 5 Live the other day. He actually asked Thomas Tuchel if he'd seen the paper planes, and he said he hadn't, and he didn't understand what he meant by it. He must have seen the paper planes tonight. There's so many of them. It's like the Battle of Britain. There's one for tonight, Harry Kane, goal number 71. Eze came on as a substitute. He's got himself on the score sheet now. It's not just the paper planes that are raining down. They've got the Mexican waves, just like the old days. It's a good goal. It's right at the other end to us. He's taking it all on himself. But I assume it's taken a wicked deflection there.
So that was the view from the stands. 2 wins, 6 points, 5 goals, nothing conceded. That is what we would have taken before kick-off on Friday night, however it came. But looking back, of course, we want more. We all want more, don't we? But I guess there are factors to consider. Tuchel has only been in charge for 2 games. We can't expect miracles. We have to consider the opposition. Both Albania and Latvia, they both came to Wembley, not looking to give much away, and in all fairness, will probably go away relatively happy with their performances. So as it stands in the group, after 2 match days, we are top with 6 points. Albania second with 3. That's after they beat Andorra. Latvia, well, they're third, also on 3 points, but they are third because of the goals they conceded against us. Serbia, without playing a game, are fourth, and Andorra, bless them, bottom. Played 2, lost 2. Serbia, though, they did play their Nations League playoff matches. They were home and away to Austria. They won 3-1 on aggregate, which meant that they retained their League A status. And it makes you think, yes, probably Serbia will be tough. They'll be we know that's going to be the toughest game of this group. It may just be a little tougher than we think. We'll see. I'll touch on the other results in qualifying in a moment's time. But first, I just want to play you some thoughts from some fellow England fans on what they thought of the past couple of games.
Hi there, Russell, and everyone listening. Went to the 2 games at Wembley this week. Fortunately for me, I don't live too far away from Wembley, so massive respect for people who were schlepping down for both, particularly the Latvia game. Even though the atmospheres for both games, particularly the Albania game, were a little bit disappointing for me, on the pitch, I thought there was enough to be happy and excited about. I think clearly Lewis Skelly being the standout player at left back for us, joining the debut goal scoring club, and Lewis Hall will probably have his work cut out getting back into the team, which he was looking that he might just do under Carsley. Again, I think like many people initially when the squad was announced, there are a few things that I was not too happy with, but really it's international football, and when it comes to tournaments, which is what matters, only the starting 11 matters really. So it's just going to be interesting to see how Tuchel gears up for that. I also think kind of more generally, something I've been thinking about for a while, the days of cricket scores against sides like Latvia, not necessarily micro-states in the kind of tier below them, but your kind of Nations League C nations, for want of a better word, like Latvia, Lithuania, who we've had in qualifying campaigns in the past. Yeah, as I say, I think the days of cricket scores against those teams might be over. They tend to be so frustrating and far better drilled than they were in the past 10, 20 years. Now, seemingly a load of foreign coaches have gone there to kind of improve their defences tactically. So yeah, that was another kind of takeaway from the international break for me. But a good positive start, 2 wins, and yeah, I'm looking forward to going to Barcelona in June.
Hello, this is Charlie from the Gate 102 podcast. Well, Tuchel's first 2 games, what can I say? A really solid start for life for the Tuchel. 2 games that both sort of followed a similar pattern, really. I think both Latvia and Albania clearly were second favourites going into both games, and clearly their tactics were to almost sit back and try and make it difficult for England. But I think we did a great job in breaking the low block down, probably more so in the Latvia games. I think that was really encouraging. I think we can't really judge Tuchel until a few more games, but clearly it's noticeable that he He wants a high pressing game, lots of runners in behind, whilst also wanting to dominate possession. But I think the standouts across the 2 games, I think Ezri Konsa was brilliant, potentially making his way into the starting lineup. Great to see Reece James back. Just hope he can stay fit. But I think some players like Rodgers, Eze, and obviously Miles Lewis-Skelly really made a name for themselves, which is great to see. But overall, a good start to Tuchel era, 2 wins, 2 clean sheets. And yeah, can't wait for the upcoming fixtures in June.
Quick voice note on the thoughts from the last 2 games, which were Thomas Tuchel's first 2 games. I thought we haven't seen too much yet about what Tuchel's going to be about, but we've won the 2 games. The games were as expected. We won the games with a few goals as we would have expected. Nothing too exciting, and it's still early days to judge how Thomas is going to do. But from what he's done previously at club level, I think slowly he will get his identity and get England playing the way he wants. But yeah, he did what we needed to, and he did the job on the 2 nights, and now we roll on to June.
Hi, Russell. It's me, Marco, from Germany. Yeah, my statement for the first 2 games of our new coach Tuchel isn't complete, because I think I can't judge from the first 2 games with Tuchel as our new coach, because the opponents were not as hard as we needed it for a real test, a real stress test. So we will see what the next games will bring up. But one thing I can mention positively is that Tuchel said in relationship to singing the national anthem of England, that he wants to wait to the point where the population of England and the football fans say, it's your time, it's your turn, and now you can sing our national anthem as if you were English. So this is very positive from Tuchel to say that and to act in this way. So yeah, we will see. I'm a little bit positive for the next games, and hopefully Tuchel will bring us the World Trophy next year. That's it from your German England fan, Marco.
Hi there, Russell. It's Matt Asprey here. It's the day after the Latvia game on Monday night. Running on only a few hours sleep after a long journey back from London to Sheffield, which included a rail replacement bus service. So, yeah, still catching up on the sleep. But just to look back at the past 2 games, in terms of on the pitch, I didn't really see much of a change. I mean, I wrote this in an article which I published on my Substack. I think it was expected that Tuchel's philosophy wouldn't take shape straight away. I thought the performance was still a bit flat. It was a bit slow, a bit similar to how we played under Southgate. But in the Albania game, for example, it looked, well, from reading the stats after, it looked like we basically passed Albania to death, and that's how we created openings. And then against Latvia, it was just a case of waiting for that opportunity to score. And we did. Reece James with a beautiful free kick, and then, we went from there to win 3-0. It was more off the pitch which took my eye in terms of this international break, and it was how Tuchel is conducting himself away from the dugout, and I'm finding it quite refreshing how honest he's been. On Thursday, this past Thursday, ITV did an interview with him before the Albania game, where they asked him about, what were England missing in their Euro 2024 campaign, and I think he hit it on the head. He was talking about rhythm, patterns of play, and there doesn't seem to be any hunger or fun that the team were having as such, and it made it quite an agonising tournament to watch. I completely agreed with him. Obviously, then the talk of the town after the Albania game was him calling out Phil Foden and Marcus Rashford, which I thought was completely, I thought that was called for. I think he was right doing that. And then obviously against Latvia, he did criticise the slow start that England had, and I think it's something we're going to have to get used to. I think as fans, it's quite a welcome thing. I think we won't mind it in terms of how, not brutal, but honest he's going to be about the team's performances, because at the end of the day, he's got 18 months to deliver a trophy, and it shows that he's got no time for messing about. I think the only people that will have a bit of a problem with it will be the press pack who cover England. I think they might not like the fact he's just saying it how it is, because it means it's taking away from them, any probing questions, or if they want to protect any players and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Tuchel gets on in that sense. But I'm liking him. He's a breath of fresh air in terms of how an England manager is going to conduct himself around the team and things like that, and with members of the media. But yeah, I think it's just Tuchel realising that he's there to do a job, and that's to win the World Cup. So, yeah, 2 wins from 2 in qualifying. You can't complain. Andorra next away, and then Senegal in Nottingham, which I'm looking forward to. Got a ticket for that, the City Ground. I used to study in Nottingham, so it'd be nice to go back and hope you see yourself and a lot of the other England Travel Club members, as well as England fans who may be coming for the first time to an England game in June. So yeah, 2 wins from 2. Can't complain. And no, I'm confident with Tuchel. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next year or so brings with him in charge. Okay, mate, speaking a bit.
2 wins and 2 clean sheets for Thomas Tuchel as England manager. So far, probably a 7 out of 10 overall. The Albania game, I thought England were okay attacking-wise, but very good defensively. Even when there were mishaps, they were recovered very well. The Latvia game, of course, with Latvia sitting back, it was going to always be difficult to break down, but it was good to see England did finally start to look good in the last 20 minutes. But overall, it's a work in progress, and I'm not sure if we're going to see the best of England until later this year, given that Andorra are also going to be very defensive. But I'm expecting a positive path going forward.
Hey Russell, it's Sam. Hope you're doing okay, mate. It was great to be back, seeing everyone and again, catching up after not having a game since November. Obviously a new era, and in terms of possible starts, I don't think really we could have asked for too much more. I think it was definitely a case of sort of job done. You've got to obviously remember that Tuchel's not had sort of too long with these players to work with them, so I don't think we could have really expected too much more. There'd always be debates around who should start, who shouldn't be, and who should be in the squad, etc. But I think in terms of qualifying, all you can realistically expect is to get those 3 points in each game and just move on to the next one. It'll only be judged in the summer in the World Cup. So I don't think it's really fair to kind of critique too much at the moment. But 5 goals scored, none conceded, without really getting out of second gear against 2 sides which basically just parked the bus for most of the game. There was a couple of sticky moments, particularly in the Latvia game, and to be fair, some in the Albania game where we made a couple of mistakes and maybe could have conceded a goal or 2, but thankfully we didn't. And you've just got to take the positives. 2 new capped players in Dan Burn and Lewis Skelly, obviously getting a goal as well. He's definitely a young talent for the future, particularly in a position where we don't have a lot of depth on the left wing, left back wise. Good to see sort of Marcus Rashford come back in, have a much better game against Latvia than he did against Albania for sure. But there's definitely stern competition behind in those wing areas with Eze, despite his goal obviously coming off a Latvian player. It was it was great how it was set up. So yeah, really happy with the 2 games overall. 6 points in the bag. And now we move on to what will be a double header against Andorra, either side of a friendly against Senegal in Nottingham. So it'll be great to have an England game on the doorstep for a change. So yeah, looking forward to the next 2 games. And yeah, come on England.
Some great points there. Thank you, guys. Similarly, over on Twitter, replying to a post that I put up, Rich Scott says, always tough when we play against sides who sit 8 players in the box when we attack. Need to find a way of getting the ball in before all the defenders are back there. 2 clean sheets was the minimum. 3 Lions Deutschland. Yes, there is an account called that. Hello to you guys. Very happy with the high press and ball retention. Still feels like the shackles are on in attack. Is it forbidden for fullbacks to overlap these days? Still too many passes and touches. Not enough speed in the final third, which is too easy to defend against. Work in progress. 3 Lions Deutschland, that one. Maybe, do you know Marco over in Germany? Mike C, not direct enough for me. It was like watching Southgate again. Hello to Jack Miller, who says, should be scoring more than 5 across those 2 games. I'm a bit confused by the 2 friendly games this year, as I don't see them challenging enough. So for me, I've written the year off in terms of the football. Should be 10 out of 10 wins. Thomas Tuchel will be judged next year. And last one, JD88 over on Twitter. I think once we see Trent, Saka, Stones, etc. back in the fold, we will only get stronger. Serbia games will be tough, and hopefully by then we'll see the Thomas Tuchel effect. Thank you so much for all of those. It's always good to hear from you. Remember, next time the games come around, get in touch and get you on the show as well. Now, the last episode I mentioned that we would see our first qualifier for the World Cup. As I said, I thought it was going to come from the Oceania Confederation, where they were playing their semi-finals and finals. Well, we did get a qualifier from there, but not before Japan had assured their place on the Thursday. I think I misread the situation that Japan were in. They'd already won 5 and drawn 1 and were 9 points clear of their nearest rival, Australia. But by beating Bahrain 2-0, Australia couldn't catch them. So Japan became the first team to qualify. They were through to the finals before we'd even kicked a ball in qualification anger. Having been to the 2002 World Cup in Japan, I wouldn't say I've got a soft spot for them. But I think it's good to see them there. They do bring a fast attacking game, don't they, the Japanese? This will be their 8th tournament. They've qualified for each one since 1998, although they've never got further than the round of 16. You may remember they were involved in one of the controversial moments of Qatar 2022 when they played Spain. You remember when the ball appeared to go out of play? But VAR got involved and the phrase curvature of the ball became a thing. They went on to beat Spain 2-1 and in turn eliminated Germany. So back to Oceania. New Caledonia, well, they beat Tahiti 3-0, which was followed by New Zealand beating Fiji 7-0. Nottingham Forest's Chris Wood getting a hat-trick there. So New Caledonia and New Zealand met in the final. That was being played as we all woke up on Monday morning. A new final. Are there any other countries that start with new? I don't know. Can't think of any off the top of my head. However, 0-0 at half-time. However, it seems New Zealand took control in the second half and ran out 3-0 winners. This will be their 3rd tournament after they made it to Spain in 1982 and South Africa in 2010. So far, their record, it's okay. Out of the 6 games they've played, they've lost 3 and drawn 3. Now, 2010, they hold a record for that tournament. By drawing all 3 games, they were the only team not to lose a game in that tournament. I actually saw one of their games. I think it was against Slovakia in Rustenburg. Now, there is a second chance for New Caledonia, as by losing that final, they do qualify for the Intercontinental Playoff. So the day after our game against Latvia, Iran secured their place after they drew with Uzbekistan in Tehran. This was from Group A of the AFC Confederation. This will be Iran's 7th World Cup, after first appearing in 1978, but they've never gotten out of the group stage, be it in 1978, 98, 2006, 2014, 2018 or 2022. Now, the final team to secure qualification from this window was Argentina, of course the current holders. The rule about holders having automatic qualification, people still say, oh, the holders, they qualify, don't they? No, they don't, and it hasn't been like that for some time. They changed it all back in 2006 when the then champions Brazil from 2002 had to qualify for Germany 2006. And speaking of both Argentina and Brazil, it was those two that met in Buenos Aires in one of the biggest international matches. It's often called the Battle of the Americas or the Super Classic of the Americas. A match that has been played well over 100 times. And as you'd expect with a match of this side between two teams, they can have an edge to them at times. Maybe not this particular one. But there isn't a fully recognised total of who has won the most. Argentina say they have, and of course Brazil, well, they say no, we have. But there was no doubt in the result of this game. Argentina won 4-1, meaning they had enough points to secure qualification with 4 match days to spare. Incidentally, the return fixture was played last year, and Brazil beat Argentina 1-0 then. And the thing is with South American qualification, everyone seems to be able to beat everyone else, don't they? But as it stands, Ecuador, Uruguay, Brazil, Paraguay and Colombia are all in the automatic spots at the moment. No teams qualified so far from the African CAF confederations. There will be 9 teams from this confederation, plus a possible 10th through the playoff. But currently, 4 more match days to go. Top of their groups are Egypt, DR Congo, South Africa, Cape Verde, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Algeria, Tunisia and Gabon. But nothing is clear-cut as yet. I'm guessing, it'll be June when we know who's qualified from that. And indeed, many more teams will qualify during that window. But that's the roundup from around the world. Let's just return to England before I bring this episode to a close. Let's just take a look at the Young Lions and the games that they were involved in. The under-21s, they were in action. They played 2 friendlies, this ahead of the Euro finals in the summer. First up, France in Lorient in Brittany. They lost 5-3 there in what appeared to be a bit of a crazy game. 1-0 up after 2 minutes. They missed a penalty and were reduced to 10 men. But then on the Monday, whilst we were playing Latvia, they played Portugal at West Brom, winning 4-2. The men's elite squad, now they played 2 games, and I've got to be honest, I'm never quite sure what the criteria for the age is for the elite squad. But regardless, they played both Portugal and Switzerland, and they drew both of those games. The under-19s played 3 games, first off beating Wales 2-0, then drawing with Turkey 0-0, and then rounded it off by beating Portugal 1-0. These were all in the Euro 2025 elite qualifying round. The under-18s went to Portugal to play 3 games over there. They drew with Czechia, or the Czech Republic, France, and then rounded it all off by beating the hosts, Portugal. And finally, the under-17s, they played 3 games at St George's Park. They beat Israel, they beat Slovenia, and they beat Northern Ireland. So let's leave it there. Thank you very much, as always, for your company. Don't forget, you can join me on social media. Just search 3 Lions Podcast and give it a like or a follow. And there's also the Ko-fi account, should you want to contribute to the hosting of the show. Anything is appreciated. ko-fi.com/3 Lions Podcast. Now, next up will be the Lionesses. They have a couple of Nations League games to play. They've got a double header, home and away against Belgium. So I'll be back with you very soon to take a look at that. I hope you can join me for it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.